Hey, what's up guys? It's Cliff from TRD Pro. Really excited to be back with you today. We're gonna be installing an anytime backup camera with front-facing camera kit in our 2020 4Runner TRD Pro. This is available for 2014 to 2021 Toyota 4Runners, Tacomas, and Tundras, and we'll have them all available on the shop for purchase so that you can install it in your rig. So why would you want an anytime backup camera with a front-facing camera? Well, there's lots of practical applications in the city or in everyday driving. Imagine parallel parking, where the car in front of you, you want to get a good view of how close you actually are. Obviously, if you are in reverse, you will get your normal backup camera functionality, but having that front-facing camera definitely helps out there. And outside of the parallel parking example, it just gives you the ability with a switch to be able to see exactly what's in front of you so that you can avoid obstacles. Now, let's talk about on the trail. Same thing. I can switch to a backup camera if I want to look at, hey, how close am I to a tree, a rock, whatever the case may be, so I can get that full view of what's going on behind me, and same thing in front of me. If I've got an obstacle in front of me that I want to get a good view of because it's below my hood line, I can do that with a flick of a switch.
Okay, so we have all of our components out on the table. We're gonna try to make this as easy as possible to show you how everything gets hooked up. So we're gonna start with the camera. So we're gonna imagine that we're at the front of your vehicle. You have your camera with a wire. It has a couple little colored loops in it. And this connector here, we're gonna take the long extension cable that has the RCA on one end, this black connector on the other. So your camera wire, we're gonna turn this around. There's an arrow on it. We just gotta get the arrows lined up. You will feel that click together. So this long RCA extension is what's you're gonna run through and into your truck. So on one end, you're gonna have an RCA with a pigtail, and then you're gonna have a red and a black wire. The red wire, you can cap off or tape up. That's not gonna be used. The black wire is gonna be grounded. We're gonna ground it somewhere in the engine bay. All of the black wires are gonna be grounded. And then the pigtail off of the RCA is gonna be connected to the green wires here in a minute. This is the only instance in this install where you're not gonna connect light colored wire to light colored wire. All right, so we're gonna leave this right here on the table for right now. We're gonna grab the relay switch. You're gonna have a green and a black wire coming off of that. We're gonna set those to the side for right now. And then you'll see we have 3 RCA jacks. The extension wire that we had just a second ago is going to plug into one of the RCA jacks. Now, if you notice, the kit already comes with one jack with a little black mark on it. You want to connect your extension wire into the one that does not have a black mark on it. Leaves you with 2 RCAs, a male and a female. You have this other harness. It's gonna be the only other one with RCAs on it. And we're just gonna match up the RCAs. There's 1 male, 1 female on each side. So pretty simple there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the twist tie off of this. We'll go ahead and take the twist tie off of our other harness. So now in these 2 loomed sets here we have coming off of both of our harnesses, you're gonna see that we have a gray and a blue and an orange and a red. And then off of our relay, we have a green and a black. Like we said a second ago, this pigtail off of the long extension with the RCA is gonna end up getting connected to green. And then if you see, we have a wiring harness for our toggle switch. We have all the same colors. We have a black, orange, red, blue, green, and gray. So we have here our green wire. We're gonna take our switch and the green wire and that 1 red wire from the RCA, those are gonna get tied together. We recommend solder and shrink tubing if you have butt connectors or however you need to do it, but we always recommend solder and shrink tube. It's just a more secure, permanent connection. we're going to take our black wire off of the switch harness. Those are going to get tied together. Again, the black wires need to be grounded. So if you need to put some sort of a connector or something on the end, but they definitely need to be grounded. And these will be grounded inside of the truck behind the radio. So that leaves us now with an orange and a red and a blue and a gray. So our orange and our red from our one harness, match those up, and blue and gray from our other. We're gonna match those up and secure those wires. All right, so that's about it. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna go ahead and assemble this, and we'll show you what the completed assembly looks like, and then we'll go ahead and install it in the truck. All right, so we're back at the table. We've gone ahead and wired, soldered, shrink tube, connected everything. So we'll go ahead and walk through it one more time just to show you what it looks like. So again, starting from the camera, we have the camera, the black connector fits in there. Then we have our red and black wire that come out the other side of that harness. We've gone ahead and added a connector there so we can ground that out on the black wire. And like we said, the red wire is not being utilized in this situation. So we're gonna go ahead and just cap it off. We cut the end and then capped it off with some shrink tubing there. We're gonna follow our long extension RCA, have our RCA connected. And like I said, our red wire is going to be connected to our two green wires, one coming off the switch and the other one's coming from our harness. All of the wires coming from the switch are connected. Did the same thing, we put a little connector there with some solder and shrink tube on our black wire so we can ground those. Our blue is connected to blue, green to green, gray to gray, and orange to orange, red to red. Have our relay, and then our other two RCAs are connected there. So that's what it should look like. Like I said, pretty straightforward. The only time that you're not gonna match color to color is you have the two greens and the one red, they're all getting tied together. So let's go ahead and get the truck in here and we'll go ahead and get this installed and take a look.
All right, guys, let's get started with the install. Okay, first step is we just have to disassemble the head unit by pulling off the side panels. And again, these just pull right off. We'll set those down, and then we're gonna remove the climate control. And there's a plug right behind here. And then there's a small tab here in the back, which we can use a small flathead screwdriver to compress the tabs and slide it out just like that. And we can set this down. All right, so now we have access to 4 10mm bolts, which are all directly underneath the head unit, which we are going to remove. And a good idea is just to rest them here in the cup holder in front of you so you don't lose them. And guys, for the record, it is about 100 degrees out here today, so pardon my excessive sweat. All right, now that we have those bolts removed, the entire head unit assembly is going to come out. And essentially what we can do is we can grab underneath and on top and just kind of pop out one side at a time, just like that. And then pull out from the middle, kind of straight out, all right, just like that. And then at this point, we have access to all of the connections on the back of the head unit. Now, what you see what I've done here is just a microfiber towel just right underneath the screen of the head unit, and actually it'll rest here pretty well. If you want something with more cushion, you can certainly do that as well, but a microfiber usually does the trick. Okay, next we're gonna take our two factory looking female sides of the connectors, and we're gonna be, and this is a 2020, so we're gonna be removing the two connectors that are white. There's 3 in a row, and we're gonna be removing the middle one and the one that's on the right. Okay, so now that we've got those removed, these plugs are keyed, so they'll only fit each other, but there's a distinct difference between these plugs, whereas the plug here that I have in my hand On the top here, it has 3 pins, and on this one, the top row has 2 pins on each side. And this one has 3 pins on each side. So that's the major difference between those. So if you want to take a peek in, like I can see this one has the 2 pins, so it's gonna fit perfectly in there. And this female end has the 3 pins, so it's gonna fit perfectly in there, and that's on the top row. All right, so now that we've got those plugged in, we're gonna take the other side of these harnesses and we're gonna plug them into the factory radio, into the same slot where the other plug came from, and secure them. All right, so next step, hoping that you can see that, but right down here, we're gonna put the switch right in this position. As you can see, Brian has stuck his hand behind. He's gonna actually pop this dummy switch right out. There it is. This whole bottom piece does come out, but you can avoid having to take this entire bottom piece out by just reaching through and poking out the dummy switch so that we can pop the new switch in. So what we've done is Brian fed the switch plug through the switch hole that we just exposed by taking out the dummy plug, and now we're gonna put in the switch, which hopefully you can see. Plug it into place, and now we're gonna push the switch into position, pulling back the slack. All right. All right, so now we're in position. We'll give a better view of that here in a second, but it is in, looking good, with front, rear, and then neutral.
All right, we're gonna remove this bottom panel here, just to make it a little easier to get to where we need to get to. There's a grommet in the firewall, directly up under where the A-pillar meets the floorboard. That's where we're shooting for. We're gonna take our long RCA extension and go out the grommet towards the front of the truck. All right, so what I did is I took the long RCA extension cable that has the little black connector that is going to eventually get hooked up to the camera. We have our red and black wire that's also attached. Ran it down through the back of the dash and came out right here between the side panel and where the glove box meets. We're going to go ahead and run the wire along the bottom here. There was an access panel under here that we went ahead and removed. And we're going to go this way towards the outside of the truck, and then back you'll find a big rubber grommet that goes through the firewall. That's where we're going to run our wire fish through to go ahead and pull our wire into the engine bay so we can run it towards the front bumper where we're going to hook up the camera. All right, so we've moved into the engine bay. We're going to go ahead and find the grommet on this side that we're going to want to push our wire through. So we're going to use a little utility knife and our wire fish. Now located right down here, see where there's this plastic tube and this wiring harness going through. This is the grommet we're going to go ahead and use. We're going to stay away from this big main wiring harness for the truck. So we're going to go with this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the knife and very carefully I'm going to cut a small cross in the side. I don't want to go right next to the wiring harness because I don't want to damage a wire. If you break through a wire on accident, it's going to become a costly repair at the shop. So I'm going to go right here. There's plenty of room. You can see this grommet's pretty flexible. So I'm going to use my knife. Make a small incision. Just an X usually works. You're just trying to perforate the side of the grommet. And we're going to use our wire fish. We're going to gently, we're going to push it through the little hole we just made and then slowly work it into the cab of the truck. At this point, we'll go back around on the inside and we'll see if we can find our wire fish. We'll secure that RCA extension cable to that, and then we'll go ahead and pull the slack through. Okay, back in the footwell on the passenger side. Reach up in here behind. Should be, oh, there it is. Fine, here's the end of my wire fish that we just pushed through the firewall. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the end of my cable. I'm gonna use this Tessa tape. If you have electrical tape, that'll work too. make sure it's nice and secure. All right. So that's nice and secure on there. Now we're gonna go back around to the engine bay. We'll go ahead and try to pull it through. All right. So the trick to this is to slowly work it through. Don't be too aggressive. We don't want to damage our wire, and we definitely don't want to destroy the grommet. All right. So there's the end of our wire through. Now we do have that other connector on there that we need to work through as well. I'm actually going to get a pair of needle nose pliers. I don't want to pull on the wire itself too hard. I don't want to disconnect it. So I can see the end of slowly wiggle it through. Here we go. And here's our red and black wire that we need. You guys remember from when we were at the table, the end of this one needs to be grounded somewhere up here in the engine compartment. We'll go ahead and put this one out of the way, and we can go ahead and disconnect our tape, our wire fish from the wire. All right, so we have our wire pulled through. I went ahead and just pulled a little bit of slack for right now. Next thing we need to do is take off this top radiator cover. If you guys worked on your truck or you've watched the other videos on the channel, you know, just a nice pop down the middle. All of these will come out. All right, so we got all of those clips removed. I went ahead and put them in a little Plano box, safekeeping. Okay, so we got that cover piece removed. We just set it off to the side. So what we want to do is take our cable. We're going to run it. I'm going to go under this large connector here. Try to keep it tight to the outside of the truck, all nice and tucked away. We're going to come around. We're going to follow our lighting or wire for our Raptor lighting. Hey Cliff, where'd you get those Raptor lights from?
TRD Pro.
Oh, okay. We're going to follow our Raptor lights back around because we know we want our camera somewhere right here in the center of the truck on the front bumper. So we can go ahead and leave this here for now. All right, so we ran our camera wire all the way around the firewall. Our connections here, it's gonna be right in the middle. And then the easiest place we found is we just kept running the black and red wire pair all the way over. And then there's this main grounding point along the body. So we went ahead and just grounded it out there, and then we'll clean up the rest of our cable and we'll finish making our connections on the inside so we can go ahead and test the camera real quick. So let's go back in the truck. All right, we're back in the truck. We have our black wires here. We just need to ground out. So we're gonna go ahead and connect those right here to this closest bolt on the bracket that attaches the mounting bracket to the stereo. So we're gonna go ahead and connect this. We're gonna tidy up the wires a little bit here behind the radio so we can put the radio back in place and hook the camera up and give everything a test.
All right, we've gone ahead and made the last ground. So we're in accessory power. So let's go ahead and check out the function. So what I'm gonna do first is throw the front camera on. All right, so we made our front camera, so that works. So right now it's in mirroring, so we are gonna need to make some adjustments to the wires, which we'll go over in the front of the rig, but that works. So let's go ahead and do the rear. Yeah, man, we're good. So there's the backup camera, which is being controlled by the switch, which we've put right down here, which by the way is backlit, which is super cool. And you can see there as I went right back to neutral, it's back at the normal home screen here, the Toyota 4Runner infotainment system. All right, so let's go make those adjustments to the wires in the front so that we can get that front camera working like we'd like it. All right, so what we're gonna do, because we're gonna have a vertical mount, we are going to be cutting the white wire and then also the green wire to remove the grid lines. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now.
All right, so we're back up here. Here's our camera. You you follow the wire back a little bit, you're going to see there's these 3 loops of wire. You have your green, your white, and purple. We're not going to worry about the purple. We're going to leave it intact. So the green one, that was the grid lines. Cliff's opted not to have grid lines in the front of his truck. So we're just going to snip that. And then the white is, we're going to snip that, and that's going to get rid of the mirrored image. All right. So we've cut those. We're going to go back and check it, and then we will cover those up so that we don't have to worry about shorting out anything.
All right, so we're back here in the rig. We're in accessory power, so let's do that front-facing camera. All right, perfect. The grid is gone, and we are in the right orientation, which is perfect. Let's clean everything up, and then we're gonna be done. We gotta mount that front camera, and then after that, we'll be good to go. Okay, so real quick, off camera, we've gone ahead and loosened up all of the connections, the little pop clips and screws and everything that hold the front bumper on the 4Runner. Where we're gonna mount it, there's just no way to get a wrench or anything in there to tighten up the nut that's gonna go on the back of the camera. So what we've done is, you can see here, you have your collision detection thing here in the front bumper. What we've done is measured the center, found the center of that, and then using a silver Sharpie, I just put a dot right here marking the center of the front bumper. It's pretty much obviously going to be between the Y and the O in Toyota, but went ahead and measured it anyway. We're going to go ahead and use a 5/16 step down bit. If you don't have a step down bit, obviously any 5/16 drill bit will work just fine. You can see on this one, I've just marked it with a piece of painter's tape. That we make sure we don't go too big. So we're gonna go ahead and drill the hole there, and then feed the camera up and secure the camera. All right, here we go. Not too bad. All right, so I went ahead and disconnected the camera. We're gonna go ahead and take this final twist tie off. The kit does come with these little rubber pads. They got some 3M. So we're gonna go ahead and just take one of those out of the bag. We're gonna slip it over the wire here. So you can see how it sits on there like that. Go ahead and peel the back off. Go ahead and stick that right there like that. And then also included is this little flange nut. So here's the trick. We're gonna feed the camera wire through the bumper. All right, so we fed the wire up through there. As you can see, that goes right in there. That's gonna sit perfectly. From all of the research that we've done on any of these forward-facing cameras, that you shouldn't have any problem with the collision avoidance. The camera shouldn't obstruct this sensor. Everything should work just as Toyota intended for it to. If you need any tips or help on how to take the front bumper off of your 4Runner, we have a lot of other videos. You can go, we'll put the link in the description or in the drop down box above. When we installed the Raptor lights, or even when we installed the Alpha X headlights, we had to take the bumper off for all of those. So go check those videos out, and we'll show you exactly step by step how to get the front bumper off your 4Runner. All right, we have the flange nut here. We're gonna go ahead and slip the wire through it as well. This is when loosening up the bumper is helpful. Little tight quarters in here. All right, so we got the bumper back on, and we got all of our wires
tidied up. We do have a lot of wires going on here between the, like I said, between the headlights, the Raptor lights, and now this front camera. But everything's nice and tucked away. So we're gonna go ahead and put the cover back on. And then we'll move back in the truck and we'll finish putting the dash back together. And Cliff will go enjoy this new toy.
All right, guys, home stretch. We've gone ahead and we've tidied up the wires underneath here. We've put back the lower dash panel into position. And now all that we need to do is put back together our climate control and the side panels here and our 10mm bolts. So we'll start with those. Just get those into position. You can start it with your fingers. And again, this is where it becomes convenient to have put these 10mm bolts right in your cup holder so that you know they're there. All right, got that in place. Next, the climate control. Just get it oriented, but first let's plug in our connection there, and then let's pop it right back into position. All right, we're good there. Got our side panels, and again, this just pops right into place. Okay, got that one in place. Now the final side. All right. So that is everything. So let's go ahead and just again do a final test. We'll just put it here in accessory power. All right, so you actually don't even have to wait for it to boot up. I've got the switch down here and I'm gonna push front. So we've got our front view. We've opted to remove the grids. So there's no grids there. All right, then let's kick it to rear. All right, and so there's the rear. Obviously we maintain grids there because I want them there. But it's super easy with this switch, just right down here. So we've gone back to center and then to front facing, rear facing, front, rear. I mean, it's that simple. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. Hope you really enjoyed this video today. Again, we will be offering this on the website, www.trailgridpro.com. And again, this is the anytime backup camera kit and front-facing camera kit. So if you like the content you saw today, we'd love if you would subscribe so you could follow along on this journey. And as always, guys, have a blast out there.